I would like to proudly present to you Anco, Scholte, Horst. Please give it up for Anco, Scholte, Horst. The talk will be in English, but there's a lot of history and facts and a specific Dutch hacker culture maybe. So you might not understand all the references, but I think it's very important to listen to this story, and I think it's history in the making. But that's my personal opinion. So please give it up for Anco, Scholte, Horst.
First, get the English version of the slides, which I quickly make. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting me doing a little talk here. The purpose of the talk is a little history, indeed, as just mentioned, and then a little look into the future. I know you have all been having dinner, so you might already be a bit tired, so I will try to make it a bit not too tiring talk, I hope. First, a little history lesson. Who remembers this site? Yeah? This is a part of a very old site of Access for All, and Access for All was one of the first ISPs in the Netherlands. In 1993, Hectic, maybe still some people still remember Hectic, here starts to found the first ISP in the Netherlands. And the goal was to have 500 subscribers in 12 months. That was a success because they had 500 subscribers in one day. The fun part of that is that if we look at this is a history, and there is a sort of repeating thing here, which I'll come back to later. There were 4 founders mentioned here, and but the company was already taken over by KPN, the Dutch telecom provider, in 1998. So that's already and the idea was that that was the period that broadband came into action into the Netherlands, and Access for All needed a strong partner to get into that market, in the broadband market, and KPN was looking for internet providers to get more knowledge about internet, and they just bought everything what was something with the internet, as well Access for All. There was an expansion with Access for All, and important to mention is that although KPN bought it, it was still an independent company. It was separate, it was not integrated, everything was complete, separate. And in 2004, 2005, and 2006, other ISPs in the Netherlands were taken over by Access for All. Are still people here that ever were a member of HCCnet? Yes, yeah, good. But then, January 10, 2019, Maximo Ibarra, the CEO of KPN, came into the news with his one brand strategy. And that meant everything would become KPN. Everything would be integrated. Everything would be one company. Which in itself, if you think about it, if you have a lot of brands going to a one brand strategy, is not even a bad idea. It can cut costs, it can be more efficient. I can imagine that it's a good idea. But the mistake KPN made is that thinking in the board that Access for All is a brand. Yes, it's a brand, but it's more than a brand. It is a company with a vision and ideas, and there is a community behind it, and people are going there for a reason, and they are not going to KPN because that's not the company they believe in. That was the mistake. So, time for action. So in January 2009, we started preparing some action. And that means that the first contact we had with KPN was already on the 32nd of, 23e. 20, January with the board. And the discussion was that we tried to explain, guys, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. There's a community, and leave it as it is. Integrate the other brands, whatever, but leave this behind. better even, don't integrate, but enforce the company again, because the last couple of 5, 10 years, you have been eating up of access for all autonomy already for years. So put it back in its power. Well, it was a totally a waste of time, that discussion, because it didn't land. So 2 days later, KPN and then came into the news. What Ibarra said on the 10th was real. We are going to integrate. Access for all will disappear as the other brands. So that was also the kickoff to really found an action group. And the action group, Access for all moet blijven, Access for all will stay. And that was in Amsterdam, in Waag, and there was the kickoff, the real kickoff of the action group. And then, time for action. So, in February, the first ideas became, because there was a talk about, don't let Access for all disappear into KPN, and we felt KPN does not see that what we are saying. So we started having a sort of brainwave from, what if Access for all really disappears? That means that we don't have a provider in the Netherlands anymore that really stands for not only giving internet connections, but also believes in good security, privacy, will fight for digital rights and all those things. So there is something gone in the market. So would it be possible to found a new provider that fills that gap? So there is also a place where people and employees can go to. And in February, the action group asked me, Anco, can you calculate if that's possible? So I start calculating. And I can tell you, I was calculating. And the first thing that I thought is, not going to happen ever. You have this too much money in a difficult market. It's not going to fly. Waste of time. So also continuing with action. In the end of March, we had a great little action here. This is the Rijksmuseum. And in the Rijksmuseum was a meeting of the upper management of KPN. And they all came with their husbands and wives, walking to a nice dinner, but they had to walk alongside of this and get not only the signs, but also a little leaflet. So the whole management of KPN was informed about our ideas and plans. Yeah, that was fun. So, more action. More and more action. On the 10th of April, 2 things happened. They said, because the OR, the ondernemingsraad, what's a good English word for ondernemingsraad, by the way? Works Council, very good. The Works Council start coming with alternatives, and KPN said, okay, we'll look into it, a bit vague. And at the 10th of April, there was a shareholder meeting in Rotterdam, and that was fun. I don't know, were there people there from this audience? No? Okay, what we did, we asked customers of Access for All, come to the meeting. And for that, you have to do 2 things. You have to register, and to register, you have to buy shares in KPN. So all these people, about 40 people, bought shares, registered, and we went there. And also, KPN started acting a bit nervous. They said, oh God, there are all these people with 1 share coming. What is this going on? Panic attack. Maybe they start rioting or something. But that's actually not what we did. What we did is we made a list of questions, which were challenging questions for the board to answer why, and to challenge the idea why this is a good idea, and to say this is a very bad idea. So in that shareholder meeting, there was on the agenda, there were quite a lot of topics, but the whole shareholder meeting went only on 2 topics, Access for All and the bonus for the CEO. That was the only thing what was discussed, and not in favor of what the proposals were. And Maximo Ibarra, the CEO, then said repeatedly in that meeting, we will integrate access for all, but nothing will change, and nothing means nothing. And he didn't say that once, twice, or I think 10-fold. A promise he could never make, because it's not possible to not change anything if you change your whole infrastructure. And also fun part there was, this is really funny, we made two toegangspoortjes. Yeah, and a yellow one and a green one. and the green one, the yellow one had profit without bonuses, and the green one had bonuses without profit. And everybody that came, because it was on the public space in front of the office, and everybody that came to that door could choose which gate they would take. And we kept track of which gate people took. The yellow one had a 100% score, I can tell you. So it was quite a success. It was funny. But the good outcome of that meeting was that I was approached by Ibarra after the meeting, and he said, okay, we don't understand each other, let's talk. So we decided to schedule a meeting and talk, and that talk was on the, and I have to say, 24th. And in the talk, there was the whole board of KPN present, and myself and Kirsten Vendel. And Kirsten Vendel was the woman that started the petition in the beginning, which was signed or at that time already for 40-something thousand times. So in that meeting, we went in and we thought, okay, this is going to be a waste of time, but let's try, because KPN, the only thing they're are doing is where they will tell us that it's really a good plan. And nothing will change, and nothing means nothing, and we will repeat the same thing. But what actually happened is we quite got into a very good discussion with Maximo Ibarra. He really tried to understand what our points were. He disagreed, but he tried. There was a really discussion. And in that meeting, we suggested the following idea, is why don't you sell access for all? Because if you sell access for all, you have a couple of positive sides. We generated a lot of media attention, which was not in favor of KPN. You are rid of us. No more media attention to KPN. Second thing that is good for you is that the Works Council is also trying to do lots of things and maybe even going to court. Problem solved. Third positive side, you get a lot of money. And not only a lot of money, but also a long-term contract for the use on the networks. Ibarra said, well, something we actually never considered, selling it. But this is something we have to discuss internally, and let's schedule another meeting, and then we come back and see if that's an option. So, on the 6th of June, we had a second meeting, and 3rd of June. 3rd of June, we had the second meeting, and then they said, we're not going to sell access for all, so we're not putting a sign in the garden for sale, but if you, as an action group, come with a good offer, or with an investor you work with a good offer that is commercially right and with a long-term contract on the networks, we consider. It's good. It's actually not a bad plan. We go for it. Now, the fun part was that we anticipated a little. That means we've been asking around, are there even investors in the Netherlands that are willing to pay for 100% shares of Access for All? And yes, there were. Actually, there were lots. Founding a investor that was willing to pay a considerable amount of money for Access for All, and we're talking hundreds of millions here, took us a week. Yeah. we had one first, and we knew this is not going to be a good one because KPN won't like this investor because they're also investing in mobile networks and maybe competing with KPN is maybe not a good idea. But the other one was completely okay, and we knew that it was an investor that also did a lot of work with KPN before, so they knew each other, had a lot of comfort, so discussion started. Now, the fun part. We said, okay, KPN, we need to make an offer. And to make an offer, you have to have something about figures, profits, revenues. We knew already all those figures, unofficially. But now we needed them officially. That took KPN to come up with those figures, considerable amount of weeks, because it was a difficult question, apparently. And in that process, we were preparing that offer and waiting for the right figures. But then something very weird happened. The 25th of June, Ibarra says, I'm going back to Italy. He got an offer from Sky Italia. It was a good offer, I believe. I think he went from a salary of 1 million euros per year to 8 million or something. It was considerably more money. But it was a shock to us as well, because, yeah, we were still discussing, so now what? 1st of August, the Work Council says to KPN, okay, we really want to listen to our plans, and if you don't listen to our negative advice, we will go to court. And on the 6th of August, we placed that offer. But the problem was with that offer, it was there, and it was... but who is now deciding? There's no CEO officially. So, and then there came a new CEO from Belgium, Leroy, but she went away again because she sold some shares. And then it was very weird, sort of soap series there. And the biggest point was the 19th of September. That was a key date. I got a call before the opening of the stock exchange, 8:30 in the morning, from Wouter Stammeijer, that's the Chief Strategy Officer of KPN. And he said, we're going to do two things. Firstly, the negative advice from the Work Council, what we got, we ignore completely. And if they want to sue us, they sue us, we'll win. And the second announcement was, the offer you made, although it's a bloody good offer, we are not going to take it. We will integrate Access for All. Definitely. This is a quite strong message, but very clear. Very clear. And for us, it was, okay, as the action group, it said, oh, okay, we had this plan B. What if it disappears? Can we then do another new ISP in the Netherlands? And we looked back at that plan, at that date. Because what happened is, in the months before, I told you, the first time I made this business case, I thought, no, it's not going to work. But I started driving around in the Netherlands, and I was visiting companies and talking to people. And what happened is, everywhere I knocked on the door, people said, it's a really good idea, you should do this. And we're going to help you. We're going to support you. In what way we can, but we will try. I hear a River Dickey there. And that all that support that came there, and in different ways, in helping me a bit, maybe a bit financially, ideas, thinking, I started thinking, maybe it's possible. There's so much support in the market and there's so much goodwill, it might fly. That date, we got the message, you're not going to sell. we sat together and said, okay, this is the signal, we are going to do it. We'll try to start a new company. But we had one big problem. No money. How easy it was to find hundreds of millions for buying Access for All, how difficult it was to start a startup company as a new ISP. All the investors we had, they said, no, we don't invest in startups, and if it's below 50 million, it's not in our investment profile. And the bank said, but you only need a couple of millions, but we only do things with so many millions, and then or said that's too risky or whatever. So no money, big problem. And so, and in the meantime, in the end of October, the Work Council starts a case in court against the against KPN to make them listen to their case and their advice. So, plan B, no money. We tried investors, we tried banks, we tried private investors, we tried everything. And so we said, the only thing what we haven't tried and what actually is the best idea, because we are doing this for a good cause, is crowdfunding. So for November, on 14 or 30, we started our crowdfund campaign. And I was bloody nervous. I was shaking. I've never did a crowdfund before. So I didn't know what to expect. And we gave ourselves 70 days to 15th of January to raise the minimum amount that was a 1.25 million euros. That was the minimum amount. If we didn't reach that, then everybody got its money back. And we said, okay, we tried, we have a nice life, sorry. 70 days, and the plan was I would go, sit in my car, drive to the whole of the Netherlands, and rent little bars of cafes and have evenings there where everybody could have like this, a meeting, and I would explain what we're going to do, and what crowdfunding is, and what the risks are, and there was a whole plan. But what happened? On 7th of November, on 19th, we raised 2.5 million. What was the max of the crowdfund campaign? And I can tell you, that evening, when that is, we were sitting together with the whole action group. And our action group, I must tell you, is 14 people. And the 14 people is a mix of ex-employees of Access for All and current employees of Access for All. But those you won't see in any picture. We were sitting together at that night. It was a Thursday evening. And we were sitting there, we didn't know what to say. You know, and once we were celebrating because this was like a movie. You know, we put up a laptop with a web page where the counter was of the amount, and it was refreshing every 5 seconds. It was like book of a live counter. And I went home that evening. I lay in my bed, and I thought, oh fuck, I'm really fucked. There's no way back. We have lots of money and everybody looking at me. But I slept okay. Sorry? Everything. Everything. But nothing that a nice glass of whiskey can handle. So, next step, 11th of November, we announced Freedom Internet. And we did two things. We announced our name, Freedom, and we announced the founding membership. And the reason for the founding membership was pretty simple. By the time we thought of this, we already had this plan of the founding membership for quite some time, because at the time we didn't even know that we were going to raise so much money with crowdfunding so quickly. And so the idea what I had is the problem we have is that we have 55,000 people signing a petition. But signing a petition is easy. Everybody can sign a petition. It doesn't mean anything, actually. But somebody that's willing to pay 50 euros to put himself or herself in the front row seat to get a connection to the internet as one of the first and willing to pay for that, that's commitment. That's a customer. That could prove that we have the possibility this can really fly. And the idea was, okay, if we can, to half of January, to have, that was the time frame for the crowdfund, and at the same time we said, okay, let's see if we can, in the same period, we might have 10,000 founding members. Because if we hit that number, I'm sure we will make it. That took 7 days. Then we hit the 10,000. So that was, we were, okay, we're going to make it. So we are making it. So now we are going. So now the phase is we are building, we're carving, software is being built, provisioning systems are being built, and we have we have a wish list of this, and we start with this. Because we have to start with the basics. To deliver all those services you want as a privacy and security minded company, you have to be able to deliver the basics first. You have to deliver just connections about fiber and copper, the DSL. You start with that. You have to do television services. I hate television services about IPTV. Huh? Don't do it. But I have to. If you look at our customer base, we have 3 kinds of people in our customer base. You have people that you the technical-minded people, they know what they're talking about. Is definitely the second group of people. That's people that really worry about. What are all those corporate companies doing with my data? Why I have to deliver so much data? And what are doing it? Why is being all kinds of profiling, doing marketing campaigns, whatever? Why? And sadly, these people that have this distrust against the large corporations, well, every week there's something in the paper, don't have to tell you, that proves them right. So if there is a ISP that thinks the same way, that might be it. And even because we have a very good independency, and we'll come to that later. And the third group is a group of people that say, okay, what I want is good service. It might cost a bit more, but I want good service. And if I call, I get a person on the line. And the person is Max. And the person that understands my problem and will not stop before my problem is fixed. And there's not a first line, second line, or third line. No, that person can fix my problem on first time. And that group is up. And if you look at the whole group, about 53% currently still wants television. And if you don't do that, 53% won't come. And it's a large group. It's declining, but still big. Calling is the same thing. So where we stand for? If Robin only was here to hear that. We stand for freedom, free and open internet, and we try to also do the public debates, and we will promote digital civilian rights, and not only for our customers, but for all internet users. And that's a very key point. That also means that public affairs, somebody who really fights for the rights and seeks that public debate, is a key part of the company. That used to be also a part of the philosophy of Access for All, but it was killed about 5 years ago. And there was something going on calling sleepwet. Maybe you still know that. But then KPN said, Uh, privacy. Combine technical expertise with an ethical view on privacy. And the ethical view means that what you try to do, no, not what I said it wrong, what you will do is you think about privacy by design instead of privacy by compliance. So everything you try build things, you will think, okay, can we do better? The law is a sort of basic thing you want to do by design. So that's a very important part of your philosophy, and which is very different. And I'm talking right now to a lot of third parties where we have to work that, because it's an illusion that you can do everything yourself, so you need third parties. And this is everywhere a struggle, but we'll do it. That means that we always take the difficult route. That also means that sometimes things take longer. And quality. That means that we want not only happy customers, but we also want happy employees. And how happier they are, how better they can also deliver that quality of service. Because we have a social responsibility to do that. And give all your employees a lachgas. What's lachgas in English? Laughing gas? What is it in English? Ah, yeah. I'm not very experienced with the lachgas. So you have some basic things you do anyway. You know, you have to do standard software, open source, as much as possible. There are some things you can't do with open source, but we try so much as possible with open source. You have to do innovation. You have to do good security for your customers, but also for your systems. Open access. For example, I mentioned we start with fiber and glass fiber and DSL, but also we want to do the coax, the coax cable markets, the cable markets. Because as an independent provider, you have that luxury. I'm not owned by a telco. I have the luxury to take all the networks that are out there, if they want. And that's not me. But very important to, how do you secure that you also do this? And that is part of your governance. So, what we have is a shareholder, and for that I will go to one sheet further, and then I'll come back here. The legal setup. We have a shareholder, that's a stichting, it's an NPO, and that they have 100% of the shares. So we don't have anybody in private owning our company. Freedom Internet is a company which will have to be a profit-making company. And what the whole point is that you do what you do. You want to do it good, and you want to make a good profit. And the profit you use for your technical innovations, for your growth and all things. But there's no shareholder that says, I want such shareholder value, a return on investment, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that problem. And if we do good, and if there is a surplus of money, and there is a dividend stream to our shareholder, the shareholder will use that money to finance. If you come up with a good idea for a good privacy, security, open source project, you get funding there. So, the Stichting Appeltaart, and I don't think I have to explain to you why it's called Appeltaart, do I? No, you know why? Okay. Yeah? Okay. Okay, I will do. Appeltaart is apple pie. And apple pie, in the old days, if you would get something done of the system engineers of Access for All, anything you could do, anything you had a special request, send them an apple pie and it's fixed tomorrow. That was the idea. So we have a corporate charter, and that corporate charter defines all those things about privacy, about we have to invest such a certain amount of money into innovation, all those things, and they will check if we also do that. If the company does not do it, I lose my job. Very simple. And somebody else I will be replaced. So they have control. If there are takeovers, for example, let's say Freedom wants to buy a company. That can only be done by approval of that of Apple